Hello, my name's Dr. John Kaiser, and I've been practicing integrative and functional medicine for the past 30 years in the San Francisco Bay Area. Today, I'm going to be talking about why it's so important that you preserve the health of your mitochondria for healing and healthy aging. I've recently been giving talks to doctors around the country on how to best support the health of your mitochondria. I'd like to show you some portions of that lecture and go over them in detail because healthy mitochondria equals healthy aging. So this is going to be a multi-part series on optimizing the health of your mitochondria. And also we're going to go over key nutrients that the mitochondria require to function at their highest level. I'd like to frame the way we look at some common medical conditions in a different way. When I think about a heart attack, what I'm really looking at is acute mitochondrial failure inside the heart cells. What's the first thing a paramedic does when they come upon a person having a heart attack? They administer oxygen, and that is to revive and keep alive the mitochondria inside your heart cells because they're the only part of the cell that requires oxygen to function. When I think about a stroke, I look at it as acute mitochondrial failure of a part of the brain. When I look at Parkinson's disease, really it's chronic mitochondrial failure of the cells in the substantia nigra of the brain. These are the cells that make dopamine, a very high energy requiring process. And when I think about a person with Alzheimer's disease, looking at them as having chronic mitochondrial failure in the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. There is volumes of information on supporting the hypothesis that Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease and other chronic diseases of aging are actually due to progressive mitochondrial decline. When I look at a population of individuals, I'm really looking at their mitochondrial health over time. When a person is born, if they have healthy mitochondria at the beginning, when they're young, their mitochondria are robust, making lots of energy, and there are no health problems. However, different people inherit different sets of mitochondrial genes with different levels of health and robustness. So some individuals, over time, their mitochondrial health in their cells declines. What are some of the things that cause the health of your mitochondria to decline? It would include exposure to toxins, chemicals. It would include poor diet, too much stress. A lot of things that people are chronically exposed to causes a progressive age-related decline in mitochondrial health. Now, your mitochondria are pretty simple. All they need is fresh air for a steady supply of oxygen, clean water, which provides a steady stream of protons so they can make energy, and a nutritious diet that gives them fuel, such as complex carbohydrates and healthy fats, and plentiful antioxidants to detoxify free radicals. Do you want to know what your mitochondria don't like? Your mitochondria don't like not getting enough antioxidant nutrients, because then oxidative stress levels build and the mitochondrial environment becomes toxic. So they don't like a nutrient deficient diet. They also don't like a person who's under chronically high stress because the mitochondria need rest periods. They need breaks, so like a power plant going down for maintenance. They need to be able to clean up and do a process called mitophagy. So they don't like chronically high stress, and they certainly don't like all of the toxins that are being released into our environment, such as microplastics, industrial pollutants, pesticides, and being exposed to mold toxins. These are all highly detrimental to mitochondrial health, especially at high levels or over time. Now, if you really want to poison your mitochondria, go swimming in this. These chemicals are being released worldwide, and every week or so we hear of an environmental disaster. But even when you don't have an environmental disaster, hundreds of millions of tons of pesticides and industrial chemicals are being released every year into our environment. And if we don't curb this practice of environmental pollution, we're going to be looking at detrimental health affecting human society at the level that we currently have with climate change. So let's go into the biology a little bit. The mitochondria are free-floating organelles within all the cells of your body, except for mature red blood cells, and they make all your energy. Cells shut down within minutes if the mitochondria stop making energy. So the mitochondria are extremely important to all your cells. Now, the mitochondria also have their own DNA, their own genes in the form of circular mitochondrial DNA. And that's the only other part of the cell that has DNA other than the nucleus. So mitochondrial DNA, however, is not tightly wound like it is in the nucleus, and it's not protected by what are called histone proteins like it is in the nucleus. This is exposed DNA, exposed genes. So when mitochondrial genes are exposed, if the level of free radicals and oxidative stress goes too high, it can damage the genes and cause mutations in your mitochondrial genes. So when mitochondria reproduce, which they do, they will pass on these defective genes to their progeny, and you will develop an unhealthy population of mitochondria in a specific organ system. It's a bit humorous when I look at these illustrations of cells that have only 2 or 3 mitochondria shown, because in reality, there are 500 to 1,500 mitochondria in every one of your cells. And they actually make up between 1/3 and 2/3 the volume of the entire cell, especially in cells like heart cells, liver cells, brain cells, and kidney cells that are highly metabolically active. This is an electron micrograph of fat cells, and the mitochondria are stained gold. So if you look at the nuclei, which are blue, they're surrounded by gold-stained mitochondria. And as you can see, even in fat cells, which are active, but not as metabolically active as heart, muscle, brain, mitochondria make up about half the volume of the cell. I really like this picture showing mitochondria in renal tubular cells of the kidney. Now, the mitochondria are stained green, and as you can see, they appear robust and plump, and they fill up more than 50% of the volume of the cell. Now, over my 3 decades of taking care of people with chronic and serious medical conditions, including AIDS and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, I've interacted with people who have had very unhealthy mitochondria. This is a list of medical conditions that are all associated with mitochondrial dysfunction. These conditions occur when the mitochondria system-wide are beginning to fail. They occur due to an intersection between immune dysfunction, gut dysfunction, nervous system dysfunction, and endocrine dysfunction. And what ties all these systems together? The health of your mitochondria. I'd like to share with you the list of nutrients that I prescribe to my patients who need to improve their mitochondrial function. Acetyl L-carnitine, 800 milligrams twice a day. N-acetylcysteine, 600 milligrams twice a day. Alpha lipoic acid, 200 milligrams twice a day. And coenzyme Q10, 100 milligrams twice a day. These are the 4 key nutrients to support mitochondrial function. In the next part of this series on improving mitochondrial function, I will go into the details and the research and my clinical experience demonstrating how and why each of these nutrients works. Please make sure you click subscribe below so you get to see the next video in this series on supporting mitochondrial health.